Hello, everybody. Hello, seniors. This is your last day where you have to do the attendance assignment. So, guys, I will still be posting review questions. You know, your test is not until the 20th and the 21st of May. So please keep at least you don't have to turn them in, but keep going through the reviews. If you have any questions, send them to me. Please go ahead and still log on to the Google Meet, but you do not need to officially turn anything else in after tomorrow. You need to turn the attendance in for tomorrow. You don't have to turn the assignment in that's due Wednesday, but you do have to turn in the attendance. Juniors and sophomores, yeah, you still have to work on everything. So that's the way it works. But seniors, tomorrow, just do the attendance. If you have any questions, but please do try to answer the practice question. And the practice question for tomorrow, guys, is a little more challenging. Last year, without telling any of us, they kind of changed the way they asked the oligopoly question. So I'm giving you last year's question, and it's a little different, but I'll explain that a little bit more as we get there. But the little quiz that was from last Wednesday, the Monopoly graph here. So I'll just go through the answers with you guys real quick. Go through the answers for the Monopoly practice, and then talk about the new assignments and how to do other things. So I am going to do big review like Zooms and whatever thing. May 20th is the micro test. So the 19th, all day, or I'll set a certain time, but sometime on the 19th, we're going to review all the micro questions you might have. And then the 21st is macro. And guys, remember, it's going to be all FRQ, no multiple choice this time, which I really feel like for our test is good because I think the multiple choice are harder than the FRQs normally on the macro and the micro test. So remember, it's open note. Make sure you guys can log in. If you're having problems logging in to anything, you need to let myself or Mr. Puckett know so we can figure it out before test day. We don't want it to be a problem on the day of the test. Okay. And then May 6th, seniors, I'm going to be up at the senior send-off. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys up there for senior send-off. Looking forward to that. So let's go over this question. Let's see. So we got the monopoly graph here. A, assume that the monopolist wants to maximize profit. Using the labeling on the graph, indicate the monopolist price. So remember, the price is what they get to charge. So you're going to produce where MR equals MC. You go up to where it hits the demand. So they're going to get to charge $24 for that, for each of the units they make. When the output is 8, what is their profit? So remember, you go up till you hit ATC, and then everything above that is the profit. So they earn $6 in profit per unit because it asks you per unit. Total profit would be 6 times 8 is $48. You just find the area of the rectangle. But it asks you per unit profit, it's the $6. All right. Assume the monopolist is maximizing profit. Is allocative efficiency achieved? Explain. And then remember, allocatively efficient is where supply equals demand. That would be where marginal costs on the demand curve intersect. So they are not allocatively efficient. Explain. They are underproducing and overcharging. They're a monopoly. That's what they do. So your explanation, if they ask you to explain why a monopoly is not efficient, they're producing too few goods and they're charging too much for the ones they are producing. Right? Between the prices of $16 and $18 is the monopolist in the elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic portion of its demand curve, and explain. So remember, anything to the right, so where MR equals MC is 0, so you draw a line here. Anything to the right of that vertical line is inelastic. Anything to the left is elastic, and it would have to be 10 units to be unit elastic. So this is between the prices of $16 and $18. So they are producing at 12 units and 11 units. That's to the right of our line right here. So that means they're producing in the inelastic portion of its demand curve. And explain. You can explain that it's they're experiencing negative marginal revenue. That's inelastic. You could say that the profit, they have to lower price to make their profit go up. That's an explanation for inelastic demand. You could say it's to the right of where marginal revenue equals zero. That's also a valid explanation. So just remember, find where your MR equals zero, draw a vertical line straight up from that. Everything to the left is elastic. Everything to the right is inelastic. And remember, monopolies only operate in the elastic portion of their demand curve. Right? Assume the regulator set an output of 11 units. So the government comes in and tells them they have to produce 11 units, which is the fair price regulations. Remember, there's two regulations of monopoly. There's the socially optimal, where you force them to produce where marginal cost and demand intersect. And there's the fair price, where they get to earn zero economic profit. So they're going to produce at 11 units. Is the monopolist earning positive economic profit now? No. Explain. The demand and average total cost are intersecting. Therefore, they're earning zero. They're earning normal economic profit. Okay. Part two, is the monopolist earning positive accounting profit? Yes. It doesn't ask you to explain it, but if you could explain it, yes. Accounting profit does not include implicit cost. So even if we're making them produce here, they're still earning accounting profit, because accounting profit does not take into effect or to an account all the other costs that aren't the non-monetary costs. The graph includes the non-monetary cost. So when we say normal economic profit, which is zero, that just means there's nothing else they could do to make more money. So they are still making accounting profit. Okay. So that is that little quiz there. All right. And then the practice one, which some of you still, they're due tomorrow. So Cable Now is the only supplier of cable TV services offering a wide range of TV channels. Cable Now is an unregulated firm earning economic profit. Assume Cable Now does not practice price discrimination. Guys, remember, price discrimination is where a monopoly has figured out how to charge every different group every price level. So when they do that, the marginal revenue and the demand curve become one thing. So that's not what is going on here. So then it says draw the graph and label all these. So here's where I drew the graph. All right, so I have my price and quantity. They are labeled. I guess I cut it off a little bit. Sorry about that. And then the first thing said to show the profit maximizing quantity. That's where MR equals MC. Q star. You go up to the demand curve and over, and there is a P star there for price. And then it said the area economic profit shaded. So everything above my ATC, I shaded that in. So that shows the profit for this firm. And then the last thing it said to show on the graph was socially optimal is QS. Socially optimal is where marginal cost and demand intersect. So my socially optimal would be QS here. Okay. Awesome. All right. Now it says assume, letter B, assume the government grants Cable Now a lump sum subsidy of $1 million. Will this policy change the profit maximizing quantity? Explain. No. Lump sum payments do not change behavior because they do not impact cost. If the government wants to actually change a firm's behavior, it's either got to be a per unit subsidy or a per unit tax. Those are the lump sums. They're going to say, oh, thanks for this giant sum of money, and then they're still going to just do what they want to do. If it's a lump sum, if you're trying to, make them produce less, a lump sum tax, they're going to be like, they're going to pay that lump sum tax up front like it's a fine, and then you'll still just do what they want. So it's got to be a per unit subsidy or a per unit tax to actually change a firm's production. Instead of granting a subsidy, assume now the government chooses to require cable now to produce the quantity at which it earns zero economic profit. Label this as QR. So it's where ATC, oh, I labeled that wrong. It's where ATC and demand intersect. So it should be out here. And I started to do that and then I got my curves confused. So it actually should be out here where ATC and demand intersect. That's the normal profit, or yes, that's where they'll earn zero economic profit. So, whoops on that. And then at QR, is their accounting profit positive, negative, or zero? It's positive accounting profit because it does not include implicit costs. So it's still just like the question in the quiz. Okay. It's positive economic profit or positive accounting profit because it does not include in the implicit cost, so they're still making money. And then Part E, I didn't have you do Part E because they're throwing out the externality part is what is not going to be on the test. But just in case you were doing it, it said assume a new study reveals there are benefits to watching TV. Would the socially optimal quantity of cable services now be larger than, smaller than, or equal to the socially optimal that we identified here in our graph? So if there was a benefit to watching TV, there would not be enough. The socially optimal quantity would be larger than, and we would have to give them subsidies to make them produce more television. All right, but I didn't have you do E because they're not asking that this year. Externalities has been thrown off this test. So really, the only thing left is like the how to maximize utility and how firms decide how many workers to hire. So those are the last two things we're going to have to review. That's Unit 4 on the review sheet. So I'll be going over that and posting the PowerPoints and everything for that also. All right. So for tomorrow, we're going to work on oligopolies. I'm not going to do monopolistic competition. I'll share the graphs with you, or share the PowerPoint with you on its characteristics. But the graph of monopolistic competition is just like the graph of monopoly. So if you can manipulate the monopoly graph, you can manipulate the monopolistic competition graph. Just remember, monopolistic competition, they usually operate at normal economic profit, which is zero. So they normally produce where the price they're charging is going to be where their ATC intersects their demand curve. So you'll still do MR equals MC, but you'll go up to price. And at that point, that's where your ATC curve should also be. Why? Because there's monopolistic competition. There's very few barriers to entry. So there's lots of firms, and it keeps everybody at normal economic profit. And guys, remember, monopolistic competition are products that are similar but not identical. So, Nike, Reebok, Adidas, they're all tennis shoes. They're all just a little different. All the different brands of jeans and everything. Most of what we buy is monopolistically competitive. However, College Board likes monopoly, perfect competition, and oligopoly questions a lot more. All right, so I'm going to close the monopoly stuff here. All right. So we are going to do oligopoly. So let's look at an oligopoly FRQ here. So let's look at this one, Rankin wheels. Open it up here, bigger. Oh, all right. So let's look at this question. So remember, oligopoly is a few large firms control the market, but they have to use game theory. They're interdependent. Their decisions are interdependent on each other. They make their decisions based on what they think their competitor is going to do. So if you remember, we did the first game theory game I did with you guys was the prisoner's dilemma. Remember, two convicts are arrested. with they're pulled over and they have stolen merchandise in their car. But just with that, the police can't prove they actually did commit the robbery. So remember, the two prisoners are separated, and then they are given two choices: they can confess or they cannot confess. All right, and then remember, and then you draw up your game theory here, your board, your payoff matrix. So if you confess and they don't, you go out, you get to walk free, and they'll go to prison for 10 years. If both of you confess, then you both get 5 years. And if neither one of you confess, then um, they would only get you for 1 year each for having stolen merchandise. But remember, what happens is you can confess or not confess. But you have to make your decision based on what you think the other guy is going to do. So if you don't talk and he does, he walks out of the jail and you go to jail for 10 years. So what ends up happening is both prisoners confess because you cannot take the chance that you don't and they do. So remember, that's game theory, but we're applying it to profit in economics. So here we have Rankin Wheels and Roadway. They are two bus companies, and here are their profits. So remember, the first number in the square, guys, is always the company on the left. The second number is always the top company. All right, so then it says, in which market structure do they operate? Oligopoly explained they're using game theory to make their decisions. So it's a market dominated by a few large producers, two large producers, whatever. Okay, so if Roadway chooses early, so Roadway is going to choose early. It's telling me here Roadway is going to leave early. So what will Rankin Wheels do to make the most money? And they're also going to leave early. And then if it said explain, you would say 900 is greater than 850. Identify the dominant strategy for Roadway. Does Roadway have a dominant strategy? So if they leave early, they'll make $1,000 or $950. If they leave late, they can make $750 or $700. So Roadway has a dominant strategy of going early. D, is choosing early a dominant strategy for Rankin Wheels. Now they're asking us what Rankin Wheels' dominant strategy. Remember, guys, dominant strategy is the strategy you pick no matter what the other guy does. It's the one that always makes you the most money. So Rankin Wheels, if they go early, they'll get 900 or 650. If they go late, they'll make 850 or 800. So Rankin Wheels does not have a dominant strategy of early. And then it says explain. So you would explain if Roadway left late, Rankin Wheels would also leave late because 800 is more than 650, right? So Rankin Wheels does not have a dominant strategy. Right? If both firms know all the information and do not cooperate, what will be Rankin Wheels' profit? So they know all this information. So Rankin Wheels knows Roadway is going to choose early. So Rankin Wheels will also choose early. So Rankin Wheels will make $900. Right? So that's how the game theory questions work. And there's lots and lots and lots and lots of them you can look up. Okay. So the one I'm giving you is last year's, and it's a little different. Up until last year, guys, it was always the same choices for each company. Last year, without warning, they decided to test out new questions on everybody. So last year, they did this: advertise, do not advertise, enter, stay out. So there's two pizza companies, Patrick's Pie, they're either going to advertise or not advertise. Dee's Pizzeria is either going to enter the market or stay out of the market. So the choices aren't the same for each one. However, it still works the same way. You're still looking at where each firm will be better off. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. All right. So I want you guys to try to answer these questions, and then I'll explain all the answers on Wednesday. But just remember, even though the choices are different, it still works the same. All right. So when it's saying which maximizes the total combined profits, which square do they make the most combined money? All right. So this is a little different. I want you guys to try it and see how you can do it. and then we'll go over that on Wednesday. All right, or in the video on Wednesday. All right. So, guys, also Wednesday, I will not do my Google hours at the normal time because I do want to go up to the senior send-off and see as many of my senior students as I can. So I'll do it later, Google Meet that day. So that's Wednesday. I'll do a later Google Meet on Wednesday. Or I might I'll be actually in the parking lot there at school. I can turn it on and use the school's Wi-Fi. And if anyone has a question, I can talk to you while I'm waving my seniors by. I might do that too. Just watch for the link. All right. So work on oligopoly. And then the attendance question is another oligopoly question. So you'll answer this one. Read everything, answer this one in your that's your attendance. That's your last attendance check, seniors. Okay. So remember, guys, all the ACDC videos are linked. I will also post the oligopoly and the monopolistic competition PowerPoints that I used in class. And guys, you can look up, if you just type in oligopoly FRQ, it'll bring up tons of practice FRQs. All right. So hope all of you had a great weekend. Hope you did something nice yesterday when the weather was phenomenal. I did my own square to square ride yesterday. I rode from Lawrence Plaza down to Baum Stadium on my bike since the weather was so nice. And then, so I hope you guys did something fun this weekend. We also, this week, we got a couple of inflatable boats. We tried those on Lake Atlanta for the first time. And it was an adventure, shall we say. Maybe the boats need a little more air in them. I don't know. We'll try again when we can get some weather to cooperate a little better. So, but I hope you guys had a good weekend. Seniors, I hope to see some of you Wednesday when you're getting all your caps and gowns and everything. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I'll talk to you later. Bye.